Hi, welcome back to the Yogalicious virtual 5-day yoga retreat. I'm Blythe Stevens, and I'm back here in my home yoga studio rather than at Untitled Chapter today. So I have a few more props with me and also some goodies which you might consider, if you enjoyed these as well, to incorporate into your own retreat experience. Lots of different pampering things and self-care activities that we can do, including perhaps lighting a candle or some incense to set the mood. Using aromatherapy or any favorite oils that you enjoy. Having a glass of tea or water or some other delicious drink. And then bringing any crystals or stones with you that you might enjoy, having their energy influence you. Of course, inspirational reading or meditation afterwards might also be nice, getting out into nature. So on the day one, we had taken an expression of extension through our mountain pose, our plank pose, and our Shavasana. On day two, we did some deep folding in and forward folds, including a standing forward fold, a seated forward fold, and child's pose. Today, we're also taking a bit of a forward fold, but again, exaggerating and experiencing the extension in that, and it will wind up being inversion too. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Actually, there's a couple different flavors of this inversion that we can try. As before, you can skip directly to the end and enjoy the restorative and resting position only for renewal and relaxation. Or you can come with me step by step through exploring the other poses along the way as well. May this practice of grounding, centering, orienting, creating, and relating serve you in every facet of your life. I'm so glad you're here with me today. And please let me know if there's any way I can better support your practice. So, as I said, we're experiencing some forward folding in the hips today, but length through both the legs and the spine. So our ending pose, I'll preview now in case you want to just go directly there and use that throughout the practice. Otherwise, we'll go through a couple of other poses on the way there. So our ultimate pose is legs up the wall pose. So legs up the wall, either with the legs extended straight or with them open in more of a straddle shape, is Viparita Karani. So you could do it with an actual wall and have your hips up against the wall or with some space between your hips and the wall. Either way is fine. Or you could also practice this without a wall. So sometimes it's hard to find a place where we can go right up against the wall. Here's a great example, in which case we'll just extend the legs overhead and perhaps bring a strap with us. So it could be a yoga strap, could be an actual belt, or like we'd wear through our jeans, or even a bathrobe belt. So some kind of a strap-like item, either laying directly back or with cushioning, a pillow, a folded towel, a couple of blocks, or some combination, perhaps a couple of blocks and a towel. Ooh, that could be yummy. So that's a nice resting point for my hips, or my hips can be flat on the ground. So this is actually a sneak preview of a supported bridge pose that we'll take later in this retreat. Things to look forward to. But in today's version, we'll be taking the legs overhead towards the sky, either fully straightened or with a soft bend in the knee. And then we can support that pose with the strap. That way we don't feel as if the legs are flopping around in space. You can let the weight of the legs fall directly into the pelvis and the pelvis onto the floor. Just a great way to find a new perspective here, reclining. Let's enjoy a sense of receptivity, sort of absorbing all the benefits. And being in a different relationship to gravity than we are in a day-to-day life situation. So letting our head be at the bottom and our feet at the top. Viparita Yoga philosophy has a lot of benefits. Great resting, restorative pose, which we'll get into more detail at the end of the practice. Try to find a good variation that works for you. So we had sort of a V shape or an L shape. And so that's the shape we're playing with today. Our first version being also an inversion, but in the other, flipped the other direction. So we've got our hips held high and our head and tail, arms and legs all pointing downward in a downward facing dog. So let's go there together. We'll start in all fours. And as we did in days 1 and 2, find an extension from the top of the head through the tail, all the way through the spine, and supporting that length and spaciousness with the core muscles. So drawing in the belly towards the spine, activating through the middle to connect lower and upper body. Then we'll tuck the toes under and send our hips up into the downward facing dog. This has got a sensation of rooting and grounding through the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. If you're somewhat new or find downward dog difficult, you're not yet down with downward facing dog, I've got some ideas for variations that you may enjoy. So we can explore just for a moment or remain in puppy pose. So that would bring the knees down and reach our hands forward. So a less elevated pose. Again, supporting with the undercarriage, the underside of the body and belly, rather than just dumping into the arch of our back. So a bit of support there, a bit of lift, but still a lot of opening along the front of the body. And this would allow also our head to rest down if you like. So still a lovely, slightly inverted sense of elongation with less weight in the upper body. Then if you have a block or similar item, a very sturdy Tupperware or big book, we can also play with bringing the floor up to us, either in the front side of the body, so underneath our hands in downward dog. For some, that allows us to sink the weight a bit more into the feet than in the hands to feel more sturdy and grounded. If our legs or our arms are on the short side, it might help us just be more comfortable in the shape. Or we can also take something under the heel. So this version provided, even though I've got long arms, this version helped me for a long time as I was getting used to downward dog and not so comfortable with it. Helped me sink my heels down and find the start of a sense of ease in the shape, which is what we're going for, peace and ease and rest. But I fully understand that at first downward dog does not feel that restful until we've got that established. We'll shake out our head, no, yes. So another variation, either with the blocks or without. If your Achilles tendons are on the short side like mine are, just one of many other possible variations would be to fold or roll a towel and place that back there, or a blanket, and then we can rest our heels onto that slightly higher level. Yes, feel free to keep a soft bend in the knees through you out. And so there's some different possible downward doggies that you can do, or puppies. In this beautiful, strong triangular shape. So take your favorite version, either in stillness and quiet or more dynamically, and we'll practice that together with music. Spreading the fingers wide on the floor, pressing it away. Putting our toes under to the back, lifting back, and then sinking into our puppy pose or our downward facing dog variation. Props that we like. This or go completely without props. Downward dog. Whenever you're done, rest down on the floor. Beautiful. And then slowly come out. Awesome. So downward facing dog is such an important pose as a transition from shape to shape in many yoga classes. So finding our favorite, most healthy and effective version is important for the sustainability of our practice, that we can move through that on our way to lots of other different kinds of shapes. So I'm super keen to help you find your favorite version and then keep developing that. Our next shape is a boat pose. So we're going to go ahead and sit on back and go directly to legs up the wall if you prefer, or take a moment with me here to find that same length and spaciousness in the back and the legs. This time we do have our legs reaching up and out in a bit of an inversion to the legs, while our body remains upright. So we're going to tip back, clasping behind the thighs so that our weight is just a bit behind the sit bone, so our lower back is really long. So we're, as much as possible, resisting the urge to collapse in and curl through the back. Oh, although that feels good in this moment. But in this shape, instead, feeling a sense of the sun beating down onto our chest as if we're really on a boat. We're on a catamaran out on the blue water with dolphins jumping around. And so I can feel the sun's rays landing onto our chest through our extended back, tipping back. And then if keeping your toes on the floor or your whole foot on the floor is best for you, then stay there. Or we can also take turns alternating one shin parallel to the floor and the other, or both if that feels good in your body, or possibly even extending one or both legs here in our boat shape, and maybe reaching the arms also out wide. So we'll play with all of those or any of your favorites with some music again. Firing up through the core, really feeling very active through the whole body in this shape before we release to gravity at the end of our practice and really absorb and enjoy. Boat. The Sanskrit name for boat being Navasana. So you've already got sort of a boat-like V shape. So play with the weight, rocking side to side. Take a little twist. And we'll jump into our boat and sail away. Yes, that's part of our getaway today, sailing off into the sunset. Gently come out. So let's take a short counter pose before we move all the way into our legs up the wall pose to finish today's practice. We can just allow our head to fall between the knees and curl in for a little ball shape, or do a reclining ball shape as well. Lift chest if that feels good. Take a table shape. And the reclining ball. Six, laying back, letting our knees hug into the chest, maybe rocking them side to side or in a circle. This would be the reclining version of the forward folds in child's pose from day 2. So always a good option if child's pose doesn't quite feel right in your body, but you want that deep hip flexion and lower back release, then we can lay it back and draw our thighs and knees towards the chest in the ball. So setting up our architecture now for legs up the wall. We can do that completely freestanding here in our room with a soft bend or full stretch in the legs. We can bring our hips up against a wall or with some space. We can create some lift in the hips. Or we can also use our strap. If like me, you're using hands and feet, circle a bit. Move our blood and our energy, our chi, prana through extremities of the body again. We'll shake out back in space. I love shaking my arms in life in this position. Wonderful. And then we'll slowly allow our feet to come down onto the floor. Roll onto the side into a fetus position and pause on their way back up into the seat, in which to greet each other once again. I hope you've enjoyed these 3 or more variations of poses which form an L or a triangle shape and a couple different kinds of inversions. You can find a version that best suits you or your favorite flavor of each of these poses, and then bring that into your practice. And remember that legs up the wall in particular is always there for you. Yoga has your back. You can always come back to these restful and restorative poses as a way to center in and come back to yourself anytime you have a moment in your day. Or even longer, you could enjoy that pose for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or however long you like. It's been wonderful practicing with you today, and I hope you can make the most of this retreat today and come join me again tomorrow for day 4.